Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. I'm so glad you decided to tune in today. I know this can be a crazy time of the year with fall, but I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. I hope today is an encouragement. I hope today brings you some joy, maybe some laughs, kind of see what it's like to live in Hungary, but ultimately I hope it brings glory to God. And so I'm so glad you tuned in. If you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where I talk about life, I talk about ministry, talk about life in Hungary, and ultimately I try to talk about the glory of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. And so thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you stay aboard with us, stay on tune, in tune, whatever you want to use for that. Hope you stay along with us and join this journey of Real Talk with Ben, of the Bound Experience. And ultimately, hopefully you'll get to learn more about God and learn about more of what he's doing in my life through this. And so, yeah, let's get into it. It's been an amazing week. Ultimately, it's been one of those weeks where I learned a lot of new things. Actually, started last weekend. I learned a lot of new things. And then into this week as well, I was definitely learning kind of on the fly. And it's something that I guess I didn't really expect, I guess, to learn all these different new things. Also, sorry if I'm a little loud. I'm going to turn myself down a little bit. So learning new things, and it's something that I guess, didn't really think I would learn some of these things. And so I'm going to get into them today. It's two different things on two completely different categories. And honestly, both of them stressed me out a little bit, but is ultimately something that's been really awesome. And God has definitely opened the door for me to help in those ways. And so the first thing that I have started to learn, as I think I talked about it either last episode or maybe in one of my Friday recaps, but I am now helping with the BI and helping with basically I'm a tech guy. Basically I am helping with their live video feeds, also with their sound and their audio and making sure all that's running. Basically there's a group of us, four of us, myself, and Daniel, if you guys know Daniel, we are kind of, I guess you could say the backup guys. Primarily it's Fernando and Balaj, and they're training actually students to kind of take over that side of things. So that way, there's a little less stress on all of us. But I last Friday, I got to learn more about how to run the video stuff, the tech stuff, and it was really a great opportunity, and I really enjoyed it. But this week I was kind of thrown into action with doing this video stuff, with doing audio. And it wasn't just like, oh, me and, Fernando or me and someone else. It was kind of like just me by myself. And luckily a lot of it's kind of already was set up for me, but still it's kind of nerve wracking. You're thrown in there and if something goes wrong, it's on you. And it definitely was a cool experience. It actually got me flashbacks. And if you go to my church, if you go to Calvary, you'll know we have some of the greatest tech people, my uncle being one of them, and my dad helped for a while years ago. And yep, little young Benjamin used to do the slides for Calvary, would help dad when he would do the soundboard years ago when I was like 10, 11, 12. And I still have fond memories of that. And it was kind of cool to be honestly literally sitting at the soundboard and just having these flashbacks of when, dad would tell me to turn this up, or, I would help my Uncle Vernon do something with the sound and changing batteries and mics. And it brought back some really cool flashbacks for me, and something that I guess I never thought I would use again. I think I just thought I was a young kid that really enjoyed spending time with my dad, spending time with my uncle, and who knew that, 12 years later, 11, 12 years later, little Ben would end up being a missionary in Hungary and would end up using those skills to help, really bring this crazy time to almost more of an acceptable time. And what I mean by that is, a lot of these students aren't even here yet. Most of them come in this weekend, and it's been hard, I think, for some of them being away and even some in quarantine. So the fact that we get to do this live video and the fact that they get to see it, they get to interact if they want to as well. The process is absolutely crazy. And I'm working on a newsletter of September. It's October 8th, and I haven't released it yet. Yeah, we're getting there. Hopefully this weekend I'll have that out. But that's besides the point. But in there, I'll talk a little bit about it. You'll get to kind of see pictures of what it looks like. I've almost really wanted to do a video of the process that we go through. It's pretty insane. Just the amount of things that we have to do in order to make sure it's set up. And hats off to Balaj. He went from having a very not busy schedule to a very busy schedule. And he's really patient with all of us as we're all learning, as we're all, continuing to try to help and do that. And it honestly, it does help that I do podcasts as a, hobby, or, I guess a hobby's not a job. And I also do YouTube videos because it gives me that sense of audio, and the video side of things, I'm a little more fresh with that. I mean, the audio is ridiculous. I mean, the amount of stuff we can do with it, but the basic side of things, it's nice to have a background in that. So yeah, that's been kind of the new learning curve that I've had to learn, and I say that not in a bad way, as a staff, we've had staff meetings and such. And, I'm not going to go into those because, those are for us, but I do want to say that, one thing that has been really emphasized is that, we're here to serve Christ, and that means sacrificing things that we might not have thought maybe we were doing, or sacrificing things that we want to do in order to allow these students to enjoy a school year, to have the opportunity to go minister to so many young people of Hungary. And it's something that is not, I guess it's something that I didn't expect, as I was thinking and as I was processing, what is it going to look like? What is this new school year? What is this new, time of ministry for myself? Again, point back to when I came here, over 6 months ago, I was supposed to, I remember announcing to Calvary and to my supporting church, if you don't know who that is, and even individuals, I'm like, yeah, I'll be working with local church ministries. I'll be working in local churches, and I'll be working in schools and, helping the ministry side of things. And I went into a school to watch an English lesson once the very first week I was there, first week I was here, and, it was on a Friday. And then I went from that to within a week, we were quarantined. I was sort of working on stuff for local church ministries, but since that first week, I have not really done anything with local church ministries. Right now, it's kind of in a standstill. What do we even do? And so it's been kind of cool how God has used the things that I love, which is video, which is audio, which is podcasting, all these kind of things. And it's kind of cool how he's used it all. I didn't think I was going to be a tech guy, but they saw a need and they knew that I enjoy it. I'm more than willing to help in that way. And then ultimately, I think, again, I never would have thought I would do sports coordinator, but again, it's something I love to do. And I think that's a lesson inside of it is when you focus on Christ, and when you're not worried anymore about what you're doing, but instead you're worried about the fact that it's going to help glorify Christ, it's going to help reach more people for the gospel. And that's truly what you can do. And, this past weekend, I got to spend it with my girlfriend, Rebeka, and we just got to hang out. It was her birthday weekend, amazing weekend, one of my favorite weekends that I've ever had. It was just really great to just, spend time with her. But, as we went up on the Castle Hill, and if you've been to Budapest and Hungary, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And we were overseeing the landscape, the Danube River, the Parliament was in the distance. We got to see the city of Budapest, right? And I took a moment in that time as I was taking pictures, as I was just watching and looking. And I thought about a Ben that was so unsure, so nervous, so didn't know what was going on over 6 months ago. I remember the nerves of getting on to really, I've flown by myself on a plane before, but to Florida, not anywhere far. I was nervous about that. I was nervous about making sure I made my flights, about making sure that, someone was there to pick me up when I arrived in Hungary. And I remember when I walked through the border, of Hungary, like when I walk through the airport and as they welcome me into Hungary, it was that at that moment where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for anything, Lord. But before that, it was a very unknown thing. I didn't know what to expect. I never done this before. I mean, heck, the farthest I've ever lived away from home was 50 minutes down at Cedarville. And let's be honest, I drove to home quite a bit to see my family or whatever. But this time there was no more driving home. There was no more heading home on the weekends. It's been over 6.5 months since I've seen my family. Um, since I've hugged my mom, since I've, joked with my dad in person, gave him a punch or two. Um, it's been over 6 months since I've really had that of what life was like before this. Now, I'm not saying that to ridicule anything I've done here or even to say I want that back. Because if I'm honest with you, I've absolutely enjoyed and loved my time here. It's changed me as a man. It's changed me as a person. It's had me a different view on not only the country of Hungary, but really the flaws of where I come from and the misunderstandings where I come from. And so yeah, this whole new learning a new job, I guess had a bigger concept, had a bigger idea than just learning how to shift a knob up and down on a soundboard. But in reality, it's really, really made me realize things in that sense. And yeah, so that's like the more serious side of something new. And I guess this next one's kind of serious too. But I think going back to last weekend and the week before, I don't know if I announced this on any of the podcast or the Friday recaps, but I actually have a car now. What? Yeah. I didn't buy a car because I'm poor. No, I didn't buy a car. Rebeka's family has been so generous and so nice. It was kind of a birthday gift for her. They gave us a car to use while I'm here in Hungary, while we're, doing things. But the thing is that Rebeka doesn't have a license. Fun fact, getting your license here in Hungary is about 10,000 times harder than it is in America. And it's not really, maybe not harder, but it's just more expensive, a lot more expensive. It's just, yeah, there's just a lot you have to do in order to get your license. Whereas we know in America, you pay like what, $80, $100 or whatever to do the classes and stuff and take your test. And there you go. I passed mine on the first try. Not trying to brag or anything, got 100%. Not trying to brag. No, but anyways, it was an amazing surprise to me. It was about 2 weeks ago when I found out. And I remember getting the call. Rebeka called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about having a car?" And I'm like, what? And I kind of want to preface this because before Rebeka and I started dating, I went to Budapest. Obviously, I wasn't allowed to go to Budapest until like June. So I didn't, even when I would go to Budapest, it would either be with friends, and it would be very rarely, I would either ride with Lynette and a couple of my other friends, or I would ride the bus with friends as well, and take the train. Well, then they've shifted how the buses run. So I almost always have to take a bus to Tepiasecu, which is where the train station is, and then the train to Budapest. And it adds up financially. It definitely gets a little, not extremely expensive, but it still adds up. And, since we started dating, I pretty much go there every weekend as long as she's in town and as long as I don't have any work, things here at work. And so it definitely was going to add up. And I was kind of realizing that, like, as I thought about it, because she's always willing to come here. But let's be honest, Tolomash is great, but there's not as much to do. And Budapest kind of gives us more to do and kind of fun things to do. And so anyways, I wanted to preface that because, her family realized that, we were riding a lot of trains, either for her coming here or myself going there or us going to Debrecen where her family is. And not only they knew it added up, but it was, they knew it was tiring. And sometimes I would have to leave early because there's certain, especially to Tolomash, there's only a certain amount of buses and trains that go to, that can get you to Tolomash. And especially on the weekends, it's very hard to, you have to leave really early on a Sunday. And it was kind of rough at times. But when I found this out, it was a very great surprise. And they also, and that same week had kind of told us as staff, like, hey, we'd probably like you not to take public transportation that much. So it was a blessing into that. But most of all, it's been a blessing because Rebecca and I can travel, and I can leave a little later. I can leave a little early. I kind of leave on my own time. It's definitely going to open up opportunities already as I've taken friends somewhere or we gone out to eat or whatever. It's opened those opportunities up. And obviously for the BI, it's going to open up opportunities to take students to ministries, and those sort of things. But, and this is where the fun part comes in. Ben hadn't, well, first off, haven't drove since like mm, February, which is fine. I mean, driving's kind of like riding a bike, right? You kind of, you start remembering how to do it once you get in the car. And second off, I don't drive manual. I think I've driven a manual. I think I've helped, my uncle taught me how to drive a manual tractor years ago. Um, and I don't remember really how to drive a manual, and I didn't really want to learn. And her family knew that. They probably joked about that I'm an American, but they allowed us to have an automatic car. But this is where the fun part comes in. I have never driven in Hungary. I don't think my dad has either. And so I was extremely intimidated. And you can ask Rebecca, I was honestly scared out of my mind to go on the road in Hungary where I don't really know the rules. I literally pulled up on the internet, like all the rules that are different from America. Like you can't turn right on red, which as an American, I do all the time. So like every time I go to red, I'm like, oh, wait, I can't go type thing. Um, stoplights, they're like reversed. It's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. There's like certain passing rules, certain not miles per hour. It's kilometers per hour. But there's like sections in town you can go a certain amount, but they don't have it labeled like in America. And I could go on and on and on of the differences. And it's not crazy different. Honestly, to be honest, it's actually pretty similar, but I will admit that I think here they're a little more crazy driving. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy, and it's definitely been an experience. I've really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, and like the first time I just drove around town. It wasn't bad. First time I drove for a while was with Diego and Rebecca. We went to get something to eat and drop Rebecca off the train station, and that wasn't bad. I kind of got used to it. Then after that, I drove with a friend to Budapest for like an hour and 20 minutes there and back. And so definitely learned to feel more comfortable. Obviously, I'm still not completely comfortable. There's still things, but I'll tell you one of my favorite moments of driving so far is I was coming back from Budapest on Tuesday. I spent the weekend obviously with Rebecca, and for some reason my Google Maps didn't select the highway version, the way to get home. So it sent me like all the back roads, and I was kind of bummed at first. But then I remembered just how much I enjoy not driving on the highway, not driving in city, and taking these back roads reminded me of home. And it was still one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever experienced to drive in this country that I've fallen in love with. I love this country. It's beautiful, more beautiful, and it's more beautiful every time I'm driving in it or walking in it. And to be able to drive around like the backside of the countryside, and to see fields, and to drive through kind of a tree lanes and stuff like that. And it reminded me of home, to be honest. A lot of it did. But to be honest though, if I'm totally honest, um, it's just been an amazing blessing. And I feel like I joke about this. I don't mean to joke about it in a bad way, but honestly, this has been a year of many blessings. And some might think I'm crazy for saying that, but I got to Hungary. I got to Hungary when I was supposed to, right? There was talks they might have moved me back to June. If they move me back to June, I'm not here right now. God knew when I needed to be here. God opened the door for me to serve here. For coronavirus hit, and yeah, it was frustrating. Yeah, I was very lonely at times, and many times it was tough. Um, it was really tough. But then I saw how God was working in my own life and encouraging me through other people to be able to get to meet new friends, and friends that I'll have for a lifetime. And then as it started opening back up, and as I got the job for camp ministry team and camp team and being sports coordinator, something I didn't expect. And as I was asked to be part of the marketing team, and something I didn't expect, then I met this amazing girl, Rebeka, that I had no thought of, and I didn't think I would ever meet someone just as amazing as her. And her heart for the Lord is something that I've prayed for many years. I didn't expect that. And then this car blessing, I didn't expect that. And as well as working in tech for the BI, I didn't expect that. So with all these new things that I've experienced over these last few months, and obviously, I did a 6-month video, 6-month episode a few weeks back, I think. But as I've experienced these things, it's helped me remember that, we don't really have control over anything, even though we think we might, and that we have to stay focused. And even take the car, for example. This car is not just helping Rebeka and I or myself. This car is allowing the opportunity to mentor students, to take students to a mission, to a ministry. There we go. That's the word. To a ministry, or take staff if they need to go somewhere because some might not have a car. See, it's the little things in each blessing that give us almost a bigger blessing. So as I sit here and as I think about all the amazing things that have happened, especially this past week, as I've spent time with a major blessing in my life in Rebeka, and as I've driven, which is a blessing with a car, and as I am able to help these students in the BI through the tech stuff, through mentoring, through whatever, it's a blessing. So blessings come in all shapes and sizes. Blessings come in different times. But ultimately, blessings come when God wants them to come. We have no control over them. There are going to be times where we have no blessings. There are going to be times where we have many blessings. But ultimately, we can't be thankful in one period of time and not thankful in another. As believers, we need to be thankful always. We need to be thankful in the good times and the bad. We need to ask God for forgiveness when we're not thankful. And we need to thank him, even though we think that, why do we need to thank him? Because you know what? He's given you life. And what comes with life is the opportunity to share the gospel, something that we all believe in as Christians. And maybe you're here today. Maybe you're here today and you hear what I've been just sharing, and you say, Ben, how can you be so happy in such a rough time? And you're right. To many, I shouldn't be happy. But I'll tell you why, and that's because I serve the most amazing God. Jesus died on the sins for me, for you, for everyone. So if you don't know him as your Savior, take that opportunity. Take that opportunity to ask those questions. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. You always see my social, all over the place. Message me, whatever. I would love to share that great message with you. And so I wanted to just share this today. Yeah, it was a little fun. Yeah, but it also had a message behind it. And so once again, I want to say thank you so much. And without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do any of this and wouldn't even be able to be here. So thank you. And if you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, favorite it. Allow it to be that first thing you hear every Thursday, maybe when you're working or whatever. And then finally, if you're watching on YouTube, click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And that'll allow you to see everything that's going on, all the other videos I do, all the other opportunities you have to see what's going on here at Word Life Hungary. And once again, I want to encourage you with this, that we serve an amazing God, that he is faithful and we can trust him. And as always, we'll talk next time.